I once bought a motorcycle sight unseen off of the internet, and I'm sure lots of you would think that's a crazy thing to do. But wait for it, I can make your respect for me drop even further. The bike in question was a Benelli Tray K. Yeah, not the wisest choice I ever made. Anyway, welcome to CG Rides, where today you find me on my V7 850 Special Moto Guzzi, a beautiful retro bike, and I'm spoiling the retro look with my Arai Tour X4 helmet. If you're interested in this helmet or in motorcycle vlogging generally, you might find my video on the subject interesting, or not. Going back to that Benelli, it was sold to me as a nearly new bike. It only had 150 miles on it, and I decided to trade in my Kawasaki Z1000 SX, complete with luggage. Very nice bike. And the guy turned up with it and unloaded it off the van and loaded my bike up very quickly. He was very rapid. He said to me, "Enjoy your new Velocipede," and then he scarpered it. The Benelli was a beautiful looking bike, and I should say that I had the 900, the Tornado. So I bought one of those new old stock in 2014, so this would have been about 2015 maybe. It was a beautiful bike, the Tray K. It had the red frame, you know, it was a desirable thing to look at with that big triple engine. And as I was looking at it, I'm just sort of thinking, I don't know, it looks like it's a little bit road worn for a bike that's only done 150 miles. You know, there's a couple of stone chips on it and that kind of thing. So that stuff does happen, but it seemed a bit much. Anyway, I just put that to the back of my mind. I wasn't feeling great about it, but I thought I'll go and take it for a ride. And I took it down the road, and I was immediately just kind of fell in love with the noise that it made. I enjoyed the Tornado, by the way. I never had a problem with it, other than the usual things that afflicted those bikes. Occasionally the clocks would reset when you tried to start the bike, that kind of thing. But that was just part of the quirks of it. Mechanically, it was sound and very enjoyable to ride. So I was hoping the Tray K would be a similar experience, and it did feel like it, but it didn't take me long going down the road to notice that the speedo wasn't registering any miles per hour. And I'm thinking, well, that's a bit strange. And then I think, what about the odometer? Sure enough, that's not ticking up either. So I just went straight back home to resolve the issue, and I tried to call the dealer and he wasn't answering the calls. And here I get to the point of my video today. I bought that bike on finance. Even though it was a used bike, I was able to just contact the finance company, and I told them what had happened. They immediately lent on the dealer, and he came back a couple of days later with my Kawasaki, gave it back to me and took away the Benelli. I later saw that bike, must have been a couple of years later, but I saw it in the showroom at Moto Corsa in Gillingham before they opened up their new showroom at their service centre. They used to have bikes, and I saw it there, so I expect it did the rounds. I used to take my Tornado to Moto Corsa for servicing, and that's where I bought my Moto Guzzi V7 that I'm riding today, and also my V85 TT. But the relationship has soured somewhat, mainly because they had the indecency to go bust and leave me with a problem on this bike. As you can probably see, the check engine light is on, has been since the day I bought it. If you want to hear about that saga, you can check out my other videos. Let's get back to this topic at hand. Had I bought this bike on finance, then I would be in a better position now, because though the dealer has gone bust, I would be able to lean on the finance company to exercise my consumer rights. But I didn't do that. What I did instead was traded in a beautiful Fireblade, and I paid cash for the rest of the bike. So I don't have any comebacks. This all leads me to thinking that you are better off buying a bike on finance for that additional protection. Just like we buy holidays on our credit cards to get the additional protection that they offer. Now, I expect many of you would say, I don't want to buy a bike on finance because I don't want to pay interest to the finance company. And that is a fair point. But bear with me on this one. I bought my V85 TT at the tail end of 2019, and I started paying for it in 2019. Actually, as it happened, the dealer didn't deliver it until January, a month later, but that's another story. Anyway, the point being, I bought the bike on finance, PCP, but I knew that I would be overpaying the agreement. So what I've done is I've overpaid the agreement up to the point that they'll let you, which is basically everything apart from the residual balance. They can't stop you sending money to their bank account once you've got the details, so I've done that. So I've actually managed to reduce that residual balance to the point where they can't charge me any interest on it. So I make no monthly payments on that bike, but I still have finance outstanding on it. And that's fine, because when January comes along, I'll just pay off that remaining bit. But in the meantime, I've got the protection of the finance company because they have an interest in the asset. So for them, it's important that I've got a working bike, especially as there are rights under finance agreements. So once you've paid half of the repayments that are due under the agreement, you have the right to just dump the bike on the finance company. Regardless of the mileage, the condition or anything else, you can just hand it back. So if you get stuck with a lemon, then you are going to lose money on it for sure, because you'll have to pay half of the finance payments. But once you get to that point, you'll be able to just dump it on them. Whereas you might not be able to sell the bike on in good conscience if it's got a problem. You might not be able to sell it at all if it's got the engine light illuminated all the time. So that's my thoughts on the issue. And I think had I purchased this bike on finance, I probably would have undone the deal. Not because I don't like the bike. This is a fantastic bike and it rides perfectly. It's just some stupid ECU issue where the bike thinks it's detecting a misfire when it's not misfiring. Hopefully Moto Guzzi will sort it out. But it's an interesting point, isn't it? And of course you can buy both new bikes and used bikes on finance. So in this story I was telling about the Benelli earlier, that was a used bike, and I had a leg to stand on thanks to the finance company. That's not to say that this is a magic bullet, because the finance company isn't going to just want to take losses on dodgy motorbikes, but what they will do is put pressure on the dealer. And so if you've got a dealer that's just not helping you out and not playing ball when they should be, not respecting your consumer rights, as was the case with me and Moto Corsa in Gillingham, who just ran roughshod over my rights, then a finance company as a backup might be a good thing to have. And that might be worth the small amount of interest that you'll pay in setting up the agreement, and in the meantime, before you overpay it. You're not going to pay much interest. So if you've got the cash already, consider financing your bike. Is that strange logic? I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments section. Thanks as always for your comments, really appreciate them, and your likes and your subs as well. See you again next time. CG Rides.